Hi Steve, you're going to struggle, I guess, to find too many positives from that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty devastating and around losing to that scoreline at home. Yeah, so there's probably crumbs of comfort in someone like Jeff Astor's performance, but apart from that, there ain't too much to take out of the game.
What frustrated you the most? Was it perhaps the lack of attacking opportunities that you created, or defensively, because it was very easy, wasn't it, for Glasgow to score all of those 7 tries?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, it's probably 3 interceptions. There's some real soft tries. The first 2 tries are really soft. We haven't got high inside defensive line, and we've done pretty well at the line out. There's a sort of bouncy ball. Yeah, we haven't delivered our rolls, and then Hastings then goes under the post. Second one, the 9's gone between 2 of our forwards, which is near the goal line. That should be going backwards, and then yeah, I think it's 3 intercepts, 1 first phase. Yeah, so ultimately there's not a lot to talk about.
How do you kind of explain all of those mistakes?
Well, yeah, it's pretty frustrating. And just explaining them is we've got to deliver on our roles and responsibilities within that group.
To what extent can you kind of attribute it to the fact you're missing so many internationals at the moment?
Listen, I think there is elements to that, but Glasgow are missing a bucketful, and I ain't going to sit here and say that that's why we lost as heavily as we did. We should never be losing those games. We've got a good enough side out there to produce a better performance than that, and as a coaching group, without sounding boring, the training week, the boys have been where they need to be, and if I'm honest, as a coach, I didn't see that coming.
And as a coach, do you still believe in yourself to turn it around?
Yeah, I believe in myself and how we go about the business. Ultimately, when you get sort of results and scoreboards like that, then there are going to be questions asked.
Especially after the European performances, where it seemed as though after a sticky start you'd maybe turned a corner. Does that come as a particular blow for that reason?
Yeah, I think we played pretty well in Europe. I think we got the 5 points and dug it out against the Dragons, Edinburgh. I just feel at the minute we start off pretty well. I think up in Edinburgh for 30 minutes, but then once something is starting to get out the kilter, we lose our shape and we concede points really cheaply. And we go off track. You look at a couple of moments in an attack today, we've got, and without boring you with stuff, we've spent more time in the 22, yet we haven't scored any points, and it's just not good enough for where we need to be. It is disappointing after Europe, getting the Dragons. We were confident going to Edinburgh, and in particular the first 30 minutes, but after that it was pretty much a disaster. And then you're looking at today, you thought we started off in 14-6 half time, we're still pretty calm in how we wanted to go about it. We understood we conceded 2 cheap tries, but we felt we still had enough to go and turn that game around. But ultimately there's some big moments in particular. We've one poor kick, then Hastings a dink through, chipped it over, and they've scored from that. Then there's another interception straight off the back of that. Then there's 2 more interceptions off the back of that. So I think there's an element group lacking in a little bit of confidence, and when it gets to those crux moments where you've got to grind your way through a little bit, I think we hit the panic button and we go off track.
They seem to take a slightly different attitude to it. From the beginning they weren't taking kicks at goal, you did. They seemed happier to put it through the hands. Some of your players wanted to go on their own. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think there was good intent, and probably when you're sitting at the top of the league, 8 from 8, there is that little bit more attacking mindset. But we need to score to go 10-0 up from our own line from a turnover, which again would have built a little bit more confidence in us. But yeah, I don't think we got turned over the breakdown. I think 4 times in their 22. So they were hard over the ball. We weren't aggressive enough in around that area, and our speed and position to get those opportunities. So ultimately, there's not a lot to take out of the game.
It doesn't get any easier either, Steve, does it? You've got a series of away games coming up in the league.
Yeah, the fixture list has been pretty brutal, but that's where you're going to get to if you want to be in the Champions Cup. And in around these tournaments, it's getting harder and harder. And then when you feel you slip up and don't take some points when you probably should have, and then like you look at the Scarlets game home, we probably should have snuck that game, Treviso away, but ultimately then it doesn't get to where you need to go. Then you go to Europe, which you're always going to be up against it, Claremont, Saracens and Northampton. You're always fighting against the tide a little bit, but we performed well in Europe, but ultimately it doesn't sort of mask over what we were today. It was pretty poor. And obviously going to Munster, Northampton back to back, yeah, it doesn't get easier, but at the end of the day, we're the only ones going to change around.
Could you understand those jeers at the end?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like at the end of the day, when you're losing at home to that scoreline, it's not where we want to be. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and excuses of injuries or boys away, because Glasgow are hit with injuries, they're hit with boys away. It is testing for us in around some aspects when you're in the Premier competition as well of Europe, but I can't sit here and tell you there's excuses I could make for that sort of performance today.
So you can turn this around, you feel, this season now?
Yeah, I think the end.
Playoffs possibly?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were probably targeting this game. We were on, like, genuine as a coach, didn't see this coming today. I felt we'd have enough about us to end Glasgow's run today, and probably the start was pretty decent, but we just lost our way completely. Yeah, and I think if we can get a couple of results, I think the back end fixture list, the season gets a little bit easier for us after you probably get past the next couple of games. But it's something, no matter who you play, we're going to have to be much better at that, more resilient, and I think what we stand for in around just that fighting spirit in around certain aspects, I didn't think we showed that enough today.
Steve, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's been some speculation linking you in with Scott Williams. Are you interested in bringing him to Swansea?
Yeah, we'd always be interested in that sort of calibre player, but I think for now we're focusing on what we need to be ready for Munster.
But in terms of recruitment, can Ospreys fans expect any good news in the near future?
Yeah, I think it's something as a club we probably need to do, but in fairness, the club, it is sort of finances have always been tight, and obviously 6 years ago we went through a bit of a hole and close to going under, so you manage your funding as when you can. We don't want to get into that position again, and sometimes it does get harder and harder to try and keep up with the investment. And like, for instance, last year, like, a couple of boys sold and made good money from that, but again, it's about sort of hopefully getting that investment into the group. We're pretty confident in doing that and bringing some players in that will make a difference, add competition, but also be where we want this club to be.
Obviously, the results haven't been great this season. Do you think you've got a backbone of a good side and just need to add a few players, or do you think you need to make quite a lot of signings to change things?
Yeah, I think you definitely need to bring more faces in. I think we brought 2 in last year, and like, there was a hell of a lot going out. But we've been reliant on a lot of young guys coming through who've done really well. But yeah, I think any team needs sort of new blood. You definitely need more competition, and you need high level competition, not just bringing people in or just relying on young kids. There has to be that influx of players, but you can only do that if you've got the funding available too, because you don't want to get investing in players and then you can't cope with the sort of finances of it all.
Is it fair to say you've had assurances from the board that there'll be some funding available to strengthen the squad?
Yeah, spoke to the board, and we're pushing on, and hopefully we will have some signings made in the next couple of weeks and hopefully make us more competitive, but ultimately we know we've got to produce better performances now to help that recruitment as well.
Which kind of positions are you looking at in terms of those signings?
Obviously we're a bit thin behind, I think, so we definitely need a couple of signings there. You're obviously constantly looking, you're looking at up front, so across the board really.
Obviously I know you're focusing on this group of players, but with these big European games coming up again, you'd be hoping for good news on Rhys Webb after his injury yesterday. Yeah,
he had a bang on the head, and I think he's still a little bit sort of sore today, but again, we'll have the best medical attention, and hopefully those boys, all of them, come back fit and healthy.
Steve, last question really from me. Can you put your finger on why you've regressed as a sort of club this season?
Yeah, well, probably the start didn't help. I think obviously Zebras, we got a win. Glasgow, I thought we played pretty well, and then just we've had a couple of bad bumps again, but again we haven't delivered in some aspects. Treviso, we should have got that game done. Scarlets, then you're on a bit of a roll and you feel you're going to get that. I think we were 10-0 up, we didn't see that lack of confidence, but then we go into Europe, the Premier competition, and perform. But again, I just think there's a little bit of, well, not a little bit, there's a lack of confidence on a little bit of detail in and around what we're doing at the minute.